So right now I'm just looking at the overnight futures, and we have the NASDAQ, S&P 500 futures, the Dow Jones futures, and the Japanese market. You can also look at KOSPI if you want to look at the South Korean market, which is highly related to the memory trade for AI. As you can see, the South Korean market, which has Samsung and is the leader for the stuff, has basically more than doubled since November, because this was the AI memory trade, which corresponds to DRAM ETF. This is new, it just got made in April, but even this is up more than double since then. And a chunk of it is basically EWY, which is the South Korea market. And it found support around here, and it has also like, this was like the oil nonsense, and it just stopped carrying, and since then it's basically almost doubled since then, which is insane. Just the Korean one has doubled since then. All the memory stocks have gone crazy. So what we're going to look at is each individual section to see what has happened. I have not done this in a while. So when I came into the whole Iran war, we were looking at the SPY hitting the 2025 low anchor, and the NASDAQ basically kind of hovering around there as well, the 2025 tariff area. Dow Jones kind of hit that as well. RTY was a bit stronger, didn't quite hit it. And oil, this is the oil war. And since this area, I don't have the exact high for this, but it should be volume weighted average price since these highs, but I haven't really tracked oil. I just have this for reference, just so I know. But basically, we have the futures, and then we have the semiconductors, which have, since then, this time where it reached basically this level, it has basically doubled since then. This is the entire semiconductor, which is absolutely crazy because I was looking to buy a lot of them here. A lot of the stocks I was looking at was in the semiconductor, and even seeing this, it's crazy how much they went up. And then out of this is also in tech sector. This is XLK, so this has your Max 7 stuff from IGV, the software and hardware. It has gone up, but not as much because it has other stocks in there as well, which are still catching up. We have our IGV. The software sector was really lagging behind. It crossed below and reached basically the COVID levels. So this was where, and this was the sector that was really holding back NASDAQ since September, October time. This was the sector that really sold off. And now it found support, and all these Microsoft and stuff had started to rally, and it actually came all the way up here, this level. But as you can see, this is much weaker compared to our semiconductors, which this was the October timeline for semiconductors. It basically came up to this area of the old high, and it bounced. Whew, crazy. And this is ARK ETF, which is Kathy's, and this is primarily actually a lot of the weighting on this is Bitcoin. Tesla is just 10%, so Tesla alone moves it, and a lot of this is also the biotech sector, which is XBI. So this doesn't always move according to the rest of the markets, because all of it, the ETF really depends on each weighting, and you can always search up the ETF weighting for it. But the semiconductors, the memory, this one is not in the semiconductor. The only overlap is Micron, which is in semiconductor, and IGV, we already know, Microsoft, Palantir, all the cybersecurity, Oracle, ServiceNow, Salesforce, all these Adobe, all these service providers of software got tanked because people were thinking that AI is going to completely replace them. But obviously, you can't replace cybersecurity. So, this is a cybersecurity ETF, and it has been bought more than the rest of the software. I don't know if there's any other specific things within the IGV that I can track, like with the semiconductors, but Hack is one of them that I know of. This is a cybersecurity stocks. So this will be your, the cybersecurity will be your, basically Fortnite, PanW, Datadog, CrowdStrike, and kind of, I don't know if Palantir goes in it, but I feel like Palantir is more defense, it's not cybersecurity. But these are your cybersecurity stocks, and they have been going up now because cybersecurity is always a real thing. You can't trust an AI to build you a cybersecurity thing. These are the other software ones. As you can see today, MSTR is like in the 2% weighting of it, which is basically Bitcoin, so it kind of moves with Bitcoin as well. And then um, CRM. So let's go through each of these and exactly what is happening within each section of like a big sector. So Remix, this is your MP, USAR, right? So this was the anchor where it really like, this should be the actual anchor for it. But basically, it has established this area as a level, and it's above all these volume weighted average price of all this massive selling, and now it seems to be holding and going above there. So if we think the rare materials are going to have a breakout after all this consolidation, maybe we will see one here if it doesn't like go below. So if you want to buy, this would be the area to buy, and then you hold to see how high it will go. This always is very heavily influenced by geopolitics, so pick your choice. USAR is another one that's in here, but we don't know which one will do well, so our Remix is the ETF for it. So as you can see, the ETF has more steadily gone up than the each individual stock, so overall as an entire sector it has gone up. So yeah, and then energy went up on the war thing, and it's doing its own thing. I'm not familiar with oil, so I'm not going to go very much into the energy sector, but you can take a look here. This one I saw recently was showing some strength, especially today. I don't know much about the industrials, like what stocks would be this, but you can look up what's in here and see what's moving. I just caught my eye because today it was up 1%. And then the finance sector, it was dump in the dumpster, fintech, and then now it's consolidating here. I think part of the reason it's kind of struggling is because Bitcoin and a lot of the crypto is down, so maybe there's some overlap with crypto here. That's what I'm guessing. So you would have to really find different sectors within the finance and like separate them to really see what's going on. Kind of like in tech, you can separate out the semiconductors and the software sectors. And then we have our equal weighted S&P 500. These are our large caps. It came up to the 2025 tariff low, and then it went up. And as you can see, compared to this and overall Nasdaq and compared to basically the S&P 500, which has heavy weighting on the tech stocks, this one is just above its high, so it's slightly behind, but that means that if we're going to see the rest of the market start to go up, the market still has more room to go. This is quite interesting. It's been kind of like a steady up in anticipation of SpaceX, and now it's seeing like a pullback again. I don't know the exact date SpaceX is IPOing, but around here I was guessing this sector would get bought, and the stocks in it that I was looking was I saw it around here because the rest of the market had gone up, but the space was seeing a pullback, and then you could kind of bet that this pullback was kind of like an oversold profit taking case, and take a bet that with SpaceX IPOing in June, at some point these would get bought in May, and it massively did. It basically doubled. Same with this, if you didn't know which stocks to go, because this was kind of sus. This is the one that kind of has a investment in SpaceX, but I don't know what much about this company. So only one I know is like Rocket Lab is supposed to be a good one. And then ASTS has satellites, and their chart looks better. So these would have been the one to like buy around here and then see how it goes. Could still have potential to go up. I'm not familiar with this, but there could also be like, profit taking before the anticipation. I'm not sure how the IPO will play out, but it is highly anticipated because of this. Now let's go to the hyperscalers. What's happening with the hyperscalers? The hyperscalers, I kind of add this with it because this relates to data centers, but I think Iron recently had some sort of a deal that was supposed to be a big deal. But it hasn't like really taken off yet, which is interesting. Look at all the volume on it. NBIS, I was looking at it since around this time. It was popping up, and then it did its thing. Bounce, 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 bounce. And this was really where it took off, and this was where around the time I was expecting the market to like stop going down, and this was one of the strongest stocks I had seen in the market during this entire nonsense era of the market during this time. And this was one of my heaviest conviction. I think I had mentioned it in one of the videos, and it went up this much, and I don't think it's done going up, although there could be some profit taking. This hasn't really moved as much as NBIS. So this one is like, this one I had less conviction in because it was kind of this sloppy. But if this area holds, this could maybe go up, but it's just struggling more compared to NBIS. It just seemed like this had more partnership, I saw, and it was already like going up more. This just had some like suspicious stuff happening over here and like over here. Maybe it could be getting ready to go. Who knows? And then the photonics, I'm not familiar with as much, but it was one of the AI trends, and it had a pullback here and it went up, and it still looks pretty strong actually. Look at that candle. 17%, 15% on these. These were in a pullback for quite a bit, like during this whole time. And maybe there could be some rotation back into this sector now that the memory has gone up quite a bit. And that's what I'm at least seeing on these. I don't know if there were earnings or something coming up, but that's what it looks like to me. But definitely not as clean as the semiconductor movement. And then Dell was one of the ones I was looking at since here actually, but I didn't know what was good about it. I think I might have seen it around this time and then forgot about it, and then I saw it pop up again, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And it was something I've been watching, but I didn't know enough about to really like have strong conviction about it. But because of, I guess, like people will always consider Dell to be a laptop thing, but then around here Trump tweeted about it and now it's up here. So this was something I was eyeing for, and also looked really strong during this whole time. and it's at this price now, which is insane. This crazy. SMCI, I don't know much about it, but it's steadily going up since this time. I don't know what changed between here and here, but it seems to be doing some sort of move. If it sells, it should hold like at least this year's low for it to really get going. I'm not sure too much about it. I also don't have an ATF to track this with something else. This one I saw on a move somewhere and I tracked it because this looks pretty good. It's semiconductor, but it's not in the semiconductor ETF, so I kept it here. I'm not too familiar with it. Just a little thing here. Okay, now onto the actual stuff that I kind of am more familiar with. These ones are the machineries and the more of the factories for the semiconductor stuff. I don't know if this one's factory or not, but I know this, and then TSM should be here. But yeah, I kind of have this as one category of semiconductors and NVIDIA, and then these as a separate one. But primarily, I look at these ones because these are the main movers in the market. So Marvel, we already know. I talked about it here. This would have been a really good time to buy. This specifically was one of the strongest stocks during this whole nonsense era, and it finally saw a pop. This is something I've never seen in the stock. And then what do you know? It's, I don't know, doubled, almost tripled since then. And it's still gonna go up because Jensen said something about it and it's going up. Maybe this could be like the next $1,000 stock, who knows. But this one, it was in like the perfect sandwich of photonics, AI bottleneck, and it's seeing a lot of revenue growth because of what's needed for AI. It has had a lot because it wasn't strongly positioned like the other semiconductors. It was kind of weak. I saw it pop up here, but I didn't really know much about it. And then I didn't know what was there, so I didn't pay attention to it. And then it came back up, and I was like, now this looks very strong. So this was where I was looking at Marvel, and look at this, it did the move. And same with Qualcomm. For the longest time, I knew it was a chip, but it hadn't done much. I didn't know much about it. It sold off massively here, it seems like, and I wasn't paying attention to it until like I saw it here. Like this move was so big, um, and I think it had some really good like partnerships or something, or I don't know exactly what, but this was where it caught my attention, and now it's up more. This was also the level you would want to get involved in, and risk low here. AVGO, I'm not following closely, but looking at it now, it seems like it's just starting to go up from here, consolidated for a bit. MU, we already know. It has basically tripled since 2 months ago. AMD, this was another really high conviction one for me. It popped up here, sold off. It popped up on some really good news, and then it massively sold off along with the rest of the market. It was consolidating here, but this was one of the strongest semiconductors, and it was really strong even when the market was selling. So this was the one I had really strong conviction in, and this one's up basically double as well. Intel, this one was like, I saw from here, and then there was something else, and then it just took off, so we don't have to talk about it, but it's kind of seeing some sort of pullback profit taking. And TSMC, I don't know much about this one. I don't follow. It's just like all the semiconductors, almost everyone has to go through them to build it. This is supposed to be an alternative to manufacturing US, but a lot of it is companies get their stuff from here. And NVIDIA had China, no China stuff, but it's been consolidating since here in the all-time high from this old high was kind of like around here. So when Nvidia broke out here, this was like the time to really buy it and join the party. But it lagged very behind compared to the other semiconductors, but it did come to the tariff low exactly, and that's where it found support, and it took off now. But it still has a lot more resistance compared to the other semiconductors, maybe because people think Nvidia won't be tripling. Like you look at AMD, it has doubled. You look at Marvel, it has like tripled almost. Look at MU, it has basically tripled just since April. And what has Nvidia done for people who bought it? Like, it hasn't doubled or anything, especially since like October time, right? So since October, the rest of the semiconductors, this one is with Nvidia. So October time, it has gone up. But look at Nvidia. It has done absolutely nothing this whole time. So that's what's happening with the semiconductors. And then I don't really have any predictions for June, but just looking at analysis of Microsoft, it went down to this. This would have been a really good area to buy here when it started to hold this lows, or you could even buy here, and now it's up. Maybe some more selling. It has suffered heavily from this price down to here. And Google looks like it's pulling back quite a bit. Looking weak. The entire Mag 7 looked very weak this past 2 sessions. So since here it has gone up and started to sell. Maybe it will come back down to here. Who knows? This could be an area getting involved. Amazon, I don't follow closely. I just keep track as part of Mag 7 to know if it's moving the market or tanking it. Meta looks very weak. I know I said here that it could be strong, but then it's not holding at all. So Apple is one that has been looking really strong since here. This was the one I had talked about here. Like the first time I saw Apple pop up like this, I was like, oh, it's looking strong. And then it has steadily gone up since then, which is amazing. Because this has not moved in a while. It was a lagging one for a long time since here. And now it's here. That's great. So this is that. And then these are the memories. SanDisk has also like almost tripled since then. EWY has doubled since then. Stix has almost oh my god, this one has gone up to $900 too. That's insane. I guess they're buying all of them. That's crazy. And then this is the WDC. Yeah. So all of these have gone up significantly, which is why the market is up quite a bit. But not everything has gone up. Healthcare hasn't gone up yet. So if healthcare, RSP, industrials, and finance, and everything starts to go up more, we could see the market push up even higher, because as you can see, the current market is really just the movement of the semiconductor, which is heavily weighted in the market, and the Mag 7, which finally started to move after being in the dumpster for quite a bit. Where is it? Oh, I don't have it there. So Mag 7 has gone up, right? So the Mag 7 has gone past its old high. We'll see what happens. So this made the market go up. So did this. But IGV is still not fully there. But maybe it is. But then the rest of the stuff hasn't gone up. This could be related to Bitcoin. XLV 2, healthcare 2 hasn't gone up. this is already at close to all-time high. So if the market were to pull back with all of them, we could see a good flush of the flush and a pullback, maybe to like the anchor for the yearly, or something. I don't know what's gonna happen in this crazy market, but I do expect there to be some sort of a pullback, maybe here. We are seeing pullback in this, like the Google and the big tech. They have been really weak for the 2 trading days, but because the semiconductors have gone up so much, the market continues to go up, and IGV has also gone up. So it's really just Mag 7, but this could create some chop or like some weird market price action if mags are no longer moving with the market. For June, at this point I don't really have anything to really watch. There's SpaceX IPO, and I guess, what would you watch for June? What has done well? Everything has gone up quite a bit, so unless we start seeing movement in these lagging sectors and some pullback in the leading ones, I am not sure yet, but maybe there will be something that comes up. Yeah, I've already said all my high conviction ones and they've like double tripled, so not sure what's next. But this is a wrap for I guess monthly analysis for the first few days of June.